Hey everyone, welcome to Let's Talk About the POTS Life, your go-to podcast for all things POTS. Whether you're living with POTS or supporting someone who is, this is the place for you.
Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk About the POTS Life.
We are happy to have you join us this week as we dive deeper into the theme of, okay, I'm diagnosed with POTS. Now what? Now what? This podcast idea came about in the past week because I realized as I was talking to others on these POTS calls, as well as patients in office, I think sometimes we underestimate the knowledge or the understanding of this diagnosis in terms of, okay, I'm diagnosed, but then what does that mean? We break down what it means, what POTS is, why some of these symptoms occur, and then why certain treatments work to improve POTS symptoms.
Yeah, and it's you have all these symptoms and you're excited to get the diagnosis, and then it's, okay, now I know what I have. What do I do? What is the next step?
Yeah. Right, like where do we go from here? And there's so much out there. Anybody can Google anything. There's so many Facebook forums, but we're really trying to today weed out what works, what it means, what might be too much, and there's a lot of programs that come with high costs. So we really want to make sure that you're informed to make the best decision for you.
Absolutely. And we think the best way to start off with that is to just kind of break down POTS a little bit and just give a very simplistic, and I'm going to have this Kelsey give us the most simple definition explanation of what is POTS.
What I like to tell people is when everybody stands, about 2 water bottles worth of blood go to our feet. But in a POTS body, this blood stays there. This is the part that you might have heard me on an earlier podcast say, the broken part of POTS, right? This is where that blood stays in your feet. So the rest of your body starts to freak out. And this is where adrenaline comes in. Adrenaline fuels your body to continue functioning at whatever level you're at. And you get these crazy lists of symptoms. You see dizziness, GI issues, fatigue, brain fog, insomnia, heart palpitations. There's such a long list of symptoms, but that happens because if all that blood is in your feet, the adrenaline kicks in so you don't pass out. We know some, right, do have a history of passing out. This is because that blood is not circulating your body. The heart beats faster. That's why you see the tachycardia. And it's trying, by pumping faster, the heart pumping faster, it's wanting to move that blood up. But it's just the part that isn't functioning correctly with POTS. This is why you are recommended to increase your fluids. We increase electrolytes, which contain salt. The salt binds to the fluids, which then increases the amount of blood volume, which allows it to pump a little bit better through your body. So although that is an awesome advice to be given because you need that, it's not the end-all be-all cure. It's just to help relieve some of those symptoms, and at times rather quickly.
Yeah, and you said the word cure, which I think we want to be put on record here saying there is no cure for POTS. It's a diagnosis that is a myriad of symptoms as a result of what Kelsey just explained. So we wanted to talk through some of those common symptoms. There's a lot of symptoms out there. Some folks may have some unique ones. We can't cover them all, or we'd be here till next Tuesday. Yeah.
Right.
So we just want to talk about a little bit about some of the most common symptoms people have and why those symptoms happen. So the first one, you talked a little bit about the heart palpitations. Do you want to say anything else about that, or should we move on to the dizziness?
Yeah, I think just knowing that most POTS patients have heart palpitations of some sort. We see a wide range that some, your heart's out of control all the time. Others have episodes. Others have tiny episodes of this. So it is something we see, obviously, especially more when we're standing and change of position. But I see varying levels of it, so it doesn't have to be something that is super extreme, which I think sometimes is misunderstood.
Absolutely. And then do you want to talk about dizziness and how that it's kind of related to the heart palpitations, honestly.
Right. If you think about just anatomically, if that blood is in your feet or in your lower leg somewhere, the head is the furthest part from it. So you get this dizziness, lightheadedness. That blood is not pumping up to the rest of your body. like you need it to. So it is very common for me. This was one of this that was last to go. We've all seen an eye doctor to roll out our eyes. We've all seen ENT to rule out vertigo. But really, if that blood is stuck in your feet and it's not pumping up, how can you not feel symptoms of dizziness?
And we've all felt dizziness in the past. You don't have to have POTS to experience that. And you know that if you change positions quickly, even without POTS, you could be dizzy.
Yeah, and like that, when you stand up, that black feeling or like that feeling of passing out or those quick episodes, right? It just makes sense.
Yeah, and so someone with POTS, they're going to have that dizziness maybe more frequently, or they're going to experience
all the time.
They'll experience it way more than what I do in a non-POTS body where it's just,
Yes.
maybe you're dehydrated and you stand up too quick and you're like, whoa, it's a little bit different for when you have POTS. All right, let's talk about fatigue and why fatigue is such a common symptom with POTS.
Fatigue is so common. The reason this comes is because your body is running on adrenaline. So it doesn't matter if you sleep for 10 days straight. When you run on adrenaline, your body is chronically tired. It's not even so much sleepy tired. It is true full body fatigue. And until you improve POTS and improve that blood flow and do all the things, this fatigue stays there because you have no way but to run on adrenaline. I always show people, and it's like my theory I've adopted, the cup theory. Your cup is so full of adrenaline all the time, right? And if you have anything that puts it over the edge, an illness, a busy day, anything, your
Stress,
cup is stress. And we all have, it doesn't even have to be crazy stress, just normal life stress. Your cup is overflowing. And this is where you see those adrenaline dumps, where you'll wake up in the middle of the night or you feel like you're having a panic attack. A lot of these things are mislabeled as panic attacks or anxiety attacks. Really, it's that adrenaline dumping. And it doesn't have to be in the moment. That's what I've been telling people lately. You have to look a few days back from POTS. So some will say, I had a panic attack while I'm watching TV in the evening. It wasn't because your body started to panic while watching TV. It was probably that adrenaline that came. What did you do earlier in the day? What did you do 3 days before? And that's the moment when it dumps. Mine would happen in the middle of the night, and they're a horrible feeling. So until you really lower that adrenaline threshold in your cup,
keep it low,
and then to flip like that seesaw, and instead then your blood flow starts to take over. You can have that adrenaline come up, but it never gets fully out of whack. So the goal is ultimately retrain your body how to uptake the blood while lowering that adrenaline to get your energy back. I talked to someone the other day, and her daughter is literally doing college by napping. She does her class, she naps. She does her class, she naps. It doesn't have to be like that. But when you're so fatigued and the blood flow is so messed up, this is what you see.
I just have to say that I have this visual in my head of a seesaw with like a small child and a grown person, and like that's your adrenaline.
The adrenaline and the kid. It's all
and once
the
you
time.
Get a comparable sized person on that seesaw, it's a lot more fun for everybody.
So much better. We need a graphic. That's going to be the new POTS graphic. I say it all the time. Like, think of it. And that's what I said in the beginning inspired this podcast. When you're diagnosed, you don't know these things.
Yeah.
And when you try to break it down in terms of the cup, so you can visually, I'm a visual person. If you can visually picture that cup or the seesaw being, outweighed and things like that, I think it helps.
Yeah, we might have to get a seesaw and just, Seriously. For our own visual purposes.
You're going to see it on the on the background of the podcast soon.
And that all ties into insomnia, especially when you said you were having those flare-ups during the nighttime.
They're the worst. They're horrible. They were the worst feelings I ever felt, and they were so scary, and they would come out of nowhere. You're in a dead sleep, and boom, here you go. And I see insomnia different ways. People have trouble falling asleep. That was never me. My head hit the pillow. I was so tired I could fall asleep, but then I would wake up. So you have trouble falling asleep. You have trouble staying asleep. You can see it both ways, but people say, I just don't understand. Maybe it's just a sleep issue. No, when you're running on adrenaline, even if you get a full night's rest, your body isn't actually resting. Yeah. You're just kind of turning off that adrenaline for the time being, especially in the early days of POTS treatment. You're just hanging on by a thread. So this is why that fatigue comes. And then you start to question, Is it a sleep apnea issue? The amount of people that I've had, go and no, I'm not saying you shouldn't. You should roll out all the other things, but
Yeah.
they've had sleep studies, they come back clear. It's because that adrenaline and that seesaw is still so off balance that you continue to see these symptoms.
And these symptoms you're talking about, they just perpetuate each other. If you're not sleeping well at night, because of this, your dizziness, your fatigue, all that brain fog you're going to have, the lack of concentration, it all just goes hand in hand. It's not often that it's just you have one symptom and that's it. Yeah.
I just had a young girl, her mom reached out and has figured out, okay, she doesn't have an illness. Her cycle isn't coming soon. She didn't eat any different food. She's ruled out all the things she knows how to roll out. And I finally said, what else is there? Turns out school was super stressful, super stressful. And she wasn't going to bed till 2 in the morning and then getting up and doing it again, school and then homework and then all the things. And once we fixed the sleep patterns, she seemed a lot better the following week. And you see that 100% right, because it perpetuates into other things. POTS is not just one thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a myriad of symptoms. And the last one we could chat about maybe is some GI symptoms.
Yes, another super common question. And this is hard too, because a lot of POTS runs with EDS, which people with EDS have history of GI. People with a history of celiac, obviously GI. IBS, IBC. We see all these things that run with POTS. It's not uncommon for us to hear that from others, that they have these diagnoses too. But really, if POTS needs all the blood flow that it can, right? You're conserving all the extra blood that's possible. So what it does is it pulls from the GI system because you didn't just eat. So it's like, we don't need extra blood to digest the meal. So we're going to pull from there. So the motility in the GI system slows. And this is where you see constipation and all of those things. You also see on the other end, rushing to the bathroom, or when these adrenaline dumps come, people are barely making it to the restroom, or they feel like they could instantly throw up. Adrenaline is hitting you, but then also your body's like, oh, give me the blood. So it's decreasing motility, and you just get this ugly combination of havoc being wreaked throughout the GI system.
Yeah, and so all of these symptoms are a part of POTS. They can't just go away with a swipe of the wand or a magic pill or, like a 2-week program is not going to cure all these symptoms, because I'll say it again, there is no cure for POTS.
I think that the POTS life is telling you where we sit is that we are not going to promise you a cure. When we talk to people on these calls, I've had people straight ask me, say, well, are you going to cure me? No, you will never hear that come out of our mouth. Are we going to improve symptoms and give you a better life than you have now? For sure. Stick with us and we will get you there. But I'm never going to use the word cure. And I think what Britt said is correct. The fact that we hear all these different ideas of treatments and supplements and red light and EEG, and we get asked about vagus nerve and all these things. I'm not saying that they can't help. But if you go back to the research-based treatment for POTS, and you go back to the bread and butter of what POTS is, when you stand, 2 water bottles worth of blood go to your feet. In a POTS body, they stay there. It doesn't matter what supplement I give you, what external device I stick wherever. It is not going to fix the blood being stuck in your lower limbs, right?
Yep. And to quote the Cleveland Clinic here,
yes,
while there's no cure, several treatments and lifestyle changes can help manage the symptoms of POTS.
Right. That is what it comes back to. The research way at this point that has been proven is slow, graded exercise protocol to retrain the body how to uptake blood the right way and move it around your body. As you retrain your body and you start to fix that seesaw imbalance of adrenaline versus poor blood flow, as you increase the blood volume being moved around your body, you see a decrease in the POTS symptoms. This is not overnight. So programs out there that will tell you a couple weeks, 3 months, 6 months, from where we sit and what we believe, that's not it. These are long, sustained, slow changes to make a difference.
Which is not what you want to hear when you
No.
just got a diagnosis
Heck
and
no.
it, depending on how long you've been sick. That's the last thing you want to hear is that I don't have a roadmap that's going to get you feeling back to your old self in 2 weeks.
100%.
And that sucks.
It sucks. That's why I cried. That's why people cry.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's what's cool about us too is I'm not saying it's easy. I am
No.
not saying it doesn't suck. I mean, I know because I felt it. I know how it's so frustrating. And even as you move through it, you have good days, but you still have crappy days that come in. I 100% understand. I get it. I know what that feeling's like. So we don't want to make you feel like we're saying it's easy. We just want you to be informed to make the best decision for you about what is proven to really work, whether it's the POTS Life program or another exercise program. But the exercise component at a slow, graded approach, I just want you to remember is what is out there right now to improve POTS. Not that all these other things can't help, but when we go back like previous episodes and talk about the main ingredients to POTS treatment, it is the electrolytes, the fluids, the right structured exercise program, I would say were your 3 biggest. Meds, if that's the way you go or what you need, totally up there, ranks high also. Yep. And then you can add in all these other things. Not that it can't all help, but I want you to go back and remember what's shown to really make a difference.
Yeah, and I have to put on, when we talk about this, I just think of how this is so related to nutrition and physical activity as a whole.
Yes.
There is a very simple, to go back to your seesaw metaphor, it's simple. Calories in equal calories out. And if you get that equation or tip it one way or the other, that's how weight loss or weight gain happens or maintaining weight. It's simple on paper. It is so hard, though, to put that into practice.
100%.
And so there is an industry out there with fad workouts, fad diets. Try this supplement. Try this. It'll help you lose weight and get back to this shape and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That's great. And it's very gimmicky and it's so catchy because you want that immediate fix, that immediate solution. I wish that we were saying there was an immediate fix and an immediate solution.
It's so true. Like you related to everything else in life or what we see on social media. It's out there and we all fall for it. We're all looking for that quick fix.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, with most things in life, that doesn't exist.
Yeah. So we really want to continue to impress that the treatment for POTS is a lifestyle modification. The same as if you received a diagnosis for an autoimmune disease or an allergy that you have, that is now a lifestyle modification. Kelsey cannot have gluten. That is a fact. She could have it, but her symptoms are going to come flying right back and let her know.
In 2 hours. Yeah. In 2 hours, I'll be vomiting for sure.
Yeah. And so that is the same breath of where POTS falls is it has to be something that's a sustainable lifestyle change that is going to take some work from you at the beginning. It's not going to be easy, but that's how you're going to decrease these symptoms we talked about to get back to some normal sense of your life.
Right. And you have to think about it in this way. Anything related to POTS is long-term changes. This program walks you through starting low and slow. And then by the time you graduate, you have a maintenance program. And it's something that after the 12 months and you've seen all this change, then you know what to do for life. A lot of these programs, when they say only a couple weeks or a couple months, that's not realistic to see true blood flow changes. The things that other places are offering are not so much related to exercise, but more of these fads that we see that help you think you're going to get a quick fix, but it's just not what it is. I've been sharing more lately. I went this same route. Before I knew it was POTS, I found a program and I did a call with this practitioner. And we went through everything. In her defense, I did not know it was POTS. I was just giving my symptoms and I was about to see cardiology. Things were still kind of in the interim of, it wasn't like all the wheels have fallen off, but it was early in that year that things just weren't right. And at the end of the call, she said to me, well, you're having these heart PVCs because you ate bad lunch meat. And I was like, what? Did I? Maybe I did. And then she proceeded.
How did she know? Yeah.
I think she asked me what I ate for lunch. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I don't know. Maybe she's right. And then what she then said was, okay, now we have to rid your body of whatever happened to it because of the bad lunch meat. Here's a list of 15 vitamins. And I was like, okay, I need to feel better. This is it. So I hung up and I went downstairs and Kale was like, what'd she say? And I'm like, she told me we have bad lunch meat. And he's like, what? And I say that or share that because 1, it's funny. 2, because I've been there. You are desperate. You want to feel better. So I was totally okay believing it was bad lunch meat because I needed to feel better and I couldn't control anything else in my life. So I'm like, I'll throw it out. I'll get new. And then I start the vitamins. And the problem is in my body, in a lot of POTS bodies, you are so sensitive. So if you don't find the right thing that works for you, just because taking 15 vitamins may work for somebody else, it didn't work for me. I felt worse. It wasn't her fault. It's just that sometimes these blanket treatments for all of these vitamins or this light or this device attaching to you or this vagus nerve treatment, they might not be right for everybody. So this is why I say to make the best decision for you is to go back to the basics. That blood is in your lower half. It's staying there. It's not pumping up. So what treatment can we implement to get the blood flowing and what will be most beneficial and what makes sense?
And a lot of those other programs, like you mentioned, Kelsey, are not customized to you as an individual. They are, we've tried this with a couple of folks and it might work for you, but they're not necessarily tailoring that approach to you. And that is something that we do a lot of with our POTS Life program is tailoring to the individual that we're working with, no matter what symptoms they're having.
Right. No matter what symptoms they're having and where they're at in life, because everybody comes in different. I say this daily. Some are coming from running 10 miles and then they woke up the next morning and their life was different. Some are coming to us who've been in bed for 3 months. And then we have people that come in between. But you're starting at the same spot for a reason because low and slow is what makes sense. And then as we work with you through the program, you get Britt and I the entire time and that support. And we understand what's going on and can make adjustments. You're going to have illness. You're going to have anything. Life stressors come up. You may not get the week fully done, but we want you to move on confidently. So you just send us a message and we go in and we repeat it or we change it. Your feedback comes, we can adjust different things along the way. And I think making it custom so it fits you is key because, again, we're all so similar, but we are all very different.
And with all these other programs out there, what is unique, again, about the POTS Life program is access to Kelsey, who is someone living with POTS every single day that understands what you're going through. Yeah.
And we're bringing that unique perspective, not only from my perspective, but also Brittany, who looks at your nutrition as a whole. We know that's key in terms of with that seesaw and the GI issues and blood flow, having heavy meals, breaking things down. So we are providing you that support for the entire year.
I just met with someone last week and we talked all about how to balance meals throughout the day. You're getting access to all of that. And you're getting access to that if you choose to keep it monthly. We do not guarantee that you're going to be feeling 100% better in 2 weeks.
No.
We know that it's going to take time and dedication. And so that's why our program is monthly. It's a monthly subscription that you can choose, which we know you're going to love it.
Yeah.
You can choose whether or not you want that to renew monthly. It's not a big one-time investment that may or may not work the best for you.
Right. We want it to work for you as much as you want it to work for you. So by doing it monthly, it also allows you to be sure of it. And like Britt said, I can't guarantee you anything in 2 weeks. That's not fair. It's not realistic. We're just getting our feet wet. So these quick gimmicks of we're going to get you better in this amount of time. No, it's slow change. So you probably heard us say before, month 2 to 3, even end of month 1. Lately, we've been hearing some people really see some results, which we love. But I think it's fair to say the bulk of people month 2 into month 3, get to see those little wins. And then month 5, 6, you're stacking even bigger wins. And by the end, different person. But anything that can promise quick turnaround results, from our perspective, it's just not it.
Yeah, so there's a lot of thoughts about how long it takes for an action to become a habit and sustainable. If you think about how many of you have made a New Year's resolution and that went out the window in 3 days,
Literally.
And that's probably like giving up chocolate.
Right.
That's a small habit changer. When you're talking about these symptoms that you're trying to manage, those are longer, much larger habits to adjust. They take time. A simple habit could take a couple weeks to get adjusted to, whereas these longer ones take a significant amount of time and investment from you so that they become sustainable habits as well.
Right, and it's not easy. No one's saying that. And it's not smooth sailing. It's going to be bumpy. I always say to people, when you start, you're going to go up. Things are going to get better, but it's going to be bumpy along the way. And that's okay. That's realistic. I think if it wasn't, or you didn't give yourself that grace, you wouldn't be able to turn these into lifelong habits or lifelong changes. You have to have episodes of being angry. You have to have episodes of being frustrated. You have to have happiness. You'll have it all. I think that's just what comes with a chronic illness and a lifestyle change.
And before you probably notice it, someone that's in your circle that cares about you is going to notice it. We've talked a couple times about some things Kelsey's family had called her out on, like, oh, remember when you couldn't walk up the stairs to the laundry basket?
Yeah,
look at you, you know? Yeah.
Right. It is the little things that families pick up on easier. When you're living in this chronic body, sometimes, especially in the beginning, you're so frustrated. So it's hard to find the wins or see these little changes. But sometimes from an external source, it's easier for them to pick up on, wow, that was better, or you got up easier, or whatever it might be.
Yeah, so you might not see all those little wins, but having that nice community around you to champion you along the way, they're going to see those and they're going to celebrate those little wins with you. And that's something you get with the POTS Life, is a little bit of a community support as well. You may not know someone in your immediate life that has POTS. This allows you to make those connections, share about that. Oh my gosh, can you believe this dizziness that I was having, with someone that understands where you're coming from, no matter where you're at.
It's true, because in this community forum that we built inside the app is a cool place for people to relate to others with POTS. When I was diagnosed, I didn't know anybody. And now I know a bunch of people with POTS, thanks to the POTS Life. But it allows you a neutral place, a neutral but positive place to interact, ask questions, and you hear more from just Britt and I. You get to hear from everybody else within the POTS Life community, which is a cool feature.
Yeah, I've seen some folks on our app asking questions. It's not just you or me or someone else from the team posting things. It's actual people posting conversation, which is just really exciting to see that it's working and it's supporting others.
Yeah, we love it. And we'd love to have you join us. If it's something you're interested in, you can head to our website, thepotslife.com. You can either schedule a call if you have more questions with myself. There's a link to do that. There's also a link to sign up for the app directly. Once you sign up via our website, it'll prompt you, walk you through email directions, and then it'll be downloaded as an app directly to your phone, and you'll be able to get started with us right away.
Yeah, so go ahead and hit that subscribe or like button today.
Yes.
And go on over to thepotslife.com if you're ready to take this journey with us. And don't forget to stay tuned as we release 4 episodes to support you on your journey.
We'll see you next time. Bye.